First things first, the Rams may be Super Bowl champs, but is that enough to land them atop Nick's NFL offseason tiers? Ben Simmons made his Nets practice debut. Will he thrive alongside KD in Brooklyn? And LeBron James is trying to get himself invited to a parade. Welcome to First Things First, everyone. It is a Tuesday morning. I'm Jenna Wolfe alongside Nick and Broussard and Kevin Wildes. Nick, LeBron wants a Lakers, Dodgers, Rams joint parade. You in or out?
I'm fine with it. And Jen, I don't blame you for this, but Kevin Wilde's obsession with trying to denigrate and knock LeBron for positive things for the Los Angeles community is really unfortunate. And we will delve into it later in the show. It's really a sad turn for Wildes.
It's actually a story about parades. I guess I got that one wrong. I thought we were gonna. With the NFL season now in the books, we can look ahead to next year. And for the Arizona Cardinals, they got some issues they're going to need to address, namely their supposed franchise quarterback. So it started when Kyler Murray scrubbed his Instagram of all team-related photos, seemingly out of the blue. That quickly turned into reports questioning his leadership. Kyler took to Twitter yesterday to try to set the record straight. He said this: "I play this game for the love of it. My teammates, everyone who has helped me get to this position, that believed in me, and to win championships. All of this nonsense is not what I'm about. Never has been, never will be. Anyone who has ever stepped between those lines with me knows how hard I go. Love me or hate me, but I'm going to continue to grow and get better." So, Wildes, I'll start with you. What do you make of this situation in Arizona?
Here's what I make of it, Jenna. I think Kyler should employ the Kevin Wildes Netflix movie watching technique. And here's what it is, Broussard. I start a movie, I end up falling asleep just because our sleep schedules are a little bit funky. And then Netflix doesn't know when I fell asleep. So I have to go back and watch the full movie again. But instead of picking up where I left off, you know what I do? I just jump to the end. I watch the whole movie in 5 minutes. I was like, oh, look, it turns out the world is fine. That's exactly what Kyler should do. Kyler, I saw the beginning of the movie. Now I'd like to jump to the end, which is you leaving Arizona. Just pack your bags and leave. And I know everyone's going to say, Wildes, wow, you're really jumping all the way to the furthest, most extreme. Like, yeah, I am. Because we are in the golden age of, if this is not working for me, I'm out and I'm going to find success. It worked for Tom Brady. It worked for Gronkowski. It worked for Odell. It worked for Matthew Stafford. Why wouldn't it work for Kyler? Like, let's think. There's teams out there that are a quarterback away, specifically the Broncos. Maybe you can go back to the Bucs if Tom Brady's retirement holds. So if I was Kyler, I would say, you know what? This isn't a fit for me. Obviously, I'm deleting my Instagram. I'm having to put out statements. And the last time I had a situation that wasn't right for me, I transferred out of Texas A&M. I went to Oklahoma and ended up winning the Heisman Trophy. So, last time I transferred out, that worked for me. All these other guys are moving from their situations that they didn't like. That worked for them. I think Kyler should just skip to the end of the movie and leave Arizona.
Lunacy! That's ridiculous, Wildes. I'm sorry to start off in the morning like this. It's ridiculous. I mean, you know what we used to call that back in the day? Quitting. What? How about that? Quitting. You're advising Kyler Murray. Quit. You know, here's the new mantra. I thought it was player empowerment. But really it's when the going gets tough, bail. That's what we do. All those guys you mentioned, Tom Brady, New England didn't want him. He didn't quit on them. They didn't want him. Rob Gronkowski literally needed to stop playing, retire, so that his body could get right. Matthew Stafford, he gave it 12 years, not 3 like Kyler in Arizona. OBJ, the Browns didn't want him any more than he wanted them. It wasn't working out for either side. So this is not the same. All right, Kyler Murray needs to stay put. And what I think is going on is he caught wind within the building that some people think, as he was reported to be, self-absorbed and immature. And that rubbed him the wrong way. And that's why he scrubbed his Instagram of all the Cardinals photos and things like that. And that's why he feels like he's being scapegoated as the reason that they were so disappointed in the playoffs, Nick. I actually think publicly, Cliff Kingsbury is catching most of the heat. Cliff Kingsbury is the one that's catching most of the fire. It's not about Kyler. He's catching a little shrapnel here and there because he didn't play well in the playoff game. He didn't play well down the stretch of the season. But most of it was about the coach, Kingsbury, because he does it every year, dating back to college. So, Nick, I know if I'm Arizona, I smooth this over with Kyler. I'm not thinking about moving on from him, nor am I thinking about giving him an extension. Not yet. These 3-year extensions, why give them after 3 years? Jared Goff, Carson Wentz, Ty Gurley, that don't work.
That's the issue. Okay, so that's the issue, and I think that's the root of these problems. But to be fair, to Wilds' point, and you said that would be quitting. Him asking to play for another team, I do not believe would be quitting. Now, if he left the sport because the pressure and everything was too much for him to go play baseball, and, you know, he's a great baseball player. He probably wouldn't hit 202 for the Birmingham Barons. That would be quitting.
Oh, my
But we've only really ever
LeBron,
seen one guy quit like that.
Jordan.
Like, we've only ever seen one guy like, it's too much. I'm going to quit and go play baseball. That's quitting. This would be asking for a trade to a different team. I mean, no, he could play baseball.
It's giving somebody else a chance to win is what it is.
$5 million.
I'm tired of hogging up all the trophies.
From the Oakland A's sitting on
it.
Hey, guys, what are you talking about? I'm talking about Kyler Murray. What rings? Oh, you guys made it about somebody else. My bad.
Right.
That would be quitting. This wouldn't be quitting. But here's the thing, Wilds, and this is where I think you're going to be shocked by my stance on this. I don't think what you're saying is necessarily a terrible idea because obviously the Cardinals have a Cliff Kingsbury problem, and we can show you the numbers. Everybody at this point knows the numbers. At the end of the year, Cliff Kingsbury teams fall apart. College, pro, doesn't matter. Start well, finishes poorly. But the issue is there is a little corollary to that, which is the smallest full-time starting quarterback in NFL history, he falls apart at the end of the year as well. So I know what you're saying, Wilds. Like, a lot of teams would love to have Kyler Murray. Would they? At the price it's going to cost. Here is what it would take to get Kyler Murray, Wilds. You're going to have to trade probably 3 first-round picks, and then you're going to have to give him the Josh Allen contract. What? You don't? He went number 1 overall. You don't think you don't think you would have to trade 3 first-round picks for him? I do. Okay, 2 firsts and 2 seconds. Whatever the price is, you have to do that, and then you have to do what the team that currently has him clearly does not want to do, which is the root of all of this: pay him immediately. I'm not interested in that. Are you certain Kyler Murray's a $40 million a year quarterback? No. Cardinals aren't. That is the cause of this. Let's all be very honest about the root of all of this is the Cardinals have not yet committed, we are getting a deal done with Kyler. We need to see more. And Kyler's upset about that. And so the idea that I'm just telling you, if I were running a team and Kyler were available, and it's like, what's the cost? Like, there's a lot of things you'd want, but it's like, hey, would you like to buy this Mercedes? Well, yeah, it sounds better than my car. Well, it's going to be $200,000, and it immediately needs a new engine. Like, I guess not. I guess maybe I'll stick with my ride. Kyler, the cost of the draft picks and the cost of the contract, let me put it to you a different way. If you're the Cardinals, are you signing up to give Kyler Murray Josh Allen's contract? Because that's what he wants. Are you signing up for that? Because I'm not. No. If they were, then I don't think it'd be a problem, Wilds.
Yeah, that's the cost of doing business. You either want an elite quarterback that can win you games, or you're just kind of searching for one. I think Kyler is a franchise quarterback, Broussard, and if that's the cost that is the going compensation for a franchise quarterback, then so be it. There are no $12 million franchise quarterbacks that aren't on a rookie deal. I mean, you got Mac Jones if you want to go that route. Otherwise, you're going to have a guy on his rookie deal that is a Pro Bowler, but I don't think the next step, that's what it's going to cost. I don't think there's a lot of bargains out there. So, yeah, $40 million, yeah, I would do it. If I was the Broncos and I'm a quarterback away,
you
yeah,
would do it now? Look, if
Yeah,
I'm
why
the
not?
Cardinals or any other team, I want to see. I've got him locked up for next year on the rookie scale. I'll pick up his fifth-year options. So his next 2 seasons, he's playing for me. Then if I want, I can franchise him for a year or two if he hasn't shown me definitively that he's my guy. All right, so the Cardinals don't need to rush this. If the players, Kyler and the other players, don't think that's fair, then guess what? Show some backbone when you have your next CBA negotiations and get a new deal. But under the current rules, this is what you have to deal with. And
but
while
then you're going to have this unhappy Kyler Murray. But that's the problem.
Here's the thing.
What you're discussing, he's not going to tolerate.
Instagram's not going to last.
He's already sent a signal across the bow, Brew, that I'm not. You need to pay me, or it's going to get messy. Like, to me, that's clearly what this is about, Broussard.
Well, look, I'm all for player empowerment. Okay, I really am. But players, particularly in the NFL, guys, are not general managers. They're not coaches. In the NBA, it's a little easier. You don't have as many players. The game is a little simpler than football with all the different positions. But these players, what makes Kyler Murray think he knows how to build a team better than the front office in Arizona? He knows how to coach the team, what they need more than the coaches in Arizona. He doesn't know. The players aren't out there scouting. The players aren't, spending 20 hours a day racking their brains on how to improve the team. They're playing. So they got to keep this player empowerment in perspective because they don't have all the answers. And one answer, Wiles, that is not the answer is bail. Bail. That's not the answer.
He's not bailing.
Persevere.
Bailey's
you mentioned one Pro Bowl. It's actually
they've gotten
2
better
Pro Bowls
every year.
and a Rookie of the Year, Wilds. In 3 seasons. Not a bad resume for him. Can we take a turn, talk some Odell? Yes, he's a Super Bowl champ, but at what cost? We'll discuss his future next. And at 8 o'clock, set your watches. Set your watches. What is that? Nick will reveal his way too early offseason tiers, and if you are rooting for a Super Bowl rematch, he's got some bad news for you. First things first. Back after.
That's correct, Jenna. Jenna, that's correct.
First things first, back here talking OBJ. The Rams' Super Bowl win was a bittersweet one for Odell Beckham Jr. He left in the second quarter with that non-contact injury, never got back into the game. We learned yesterday, looks like he retore his ACL and will spend another offseason in rehab. Same injury sidelined him during that 2020 season, if you recall. So, Nick, with OBJ's free agency looming, what do you make of this news?
All right, what I'm about to say here I think will surprise some people, but I say it from a place of legitimate affection and for a guy that I have immense regard for as a player, but also as a person. For people that have watched this show for a long time, they probably know this, but when I lived in L.A., Odell had me to his house there. Odell, once I asked him, because my son was trying to do the hairstyle Odell used to do and couldn't get it right, and Odell just took my phone and said, I'll FaceTime him, and I'll walk him through it. I really like him as a person and as a player. I think he should retire. I think this is as good as it gets.
Wow.
I think he's hurt. He's going to be 30 the next time he plays. He's made $80 million. And if the final images we have of Odell Beckham Jr. on the football field are catching a touchdown and then crying tears of utter joy and tears of utter completion of a life's goal, I think it's great. I don't think he has another big payday waiting for him. I think too many lower leg injuries. He has the broken leg / ankle, torn ACL, another torn ACL, gonna be 30 years old. I think if these are our last images of him as a player, and if he then seamlessly transitions, if he wants to, into a booth, which what I hear, if you're a player of Odell's caliber, can be incredibly lucrative and gives us a perspective in the booth, Brew, that we have not gotten. Like the somewhat controversial, very player-focused player in the booth. Like the closest we've gotten to that is Aqib Talib. And Aqib's been a star to me calling games. I think he's been a revelation. I think the best things to come to calling games are the Manning cast and Aqib Talib over the last 2 years. I think Odell would be that times 10. I think he'd be great calling games if he wanted to. He's made his money. He's done what he's come to do. He has shown everyone, when I'm healthy, I'm dominant. I think this many injuries, I think you should consider hanging it up.
Well, it's a few other guys too, Nick. Receivers. How about Randy Moss? No one ever thought during his playing career, oh, he's going to be a great broadcaster. And he does a fantastic job, I believe. Michael Irvin, same thing. So, yeah, that could await OBJ if he wants it. And I don't know him personally like you do. But if my thing is this, and if he's injured and can't play anymore, or injured to the point where he could never be what he used to be, then okay. But what I disagree with what you said is most of what you talked about was legacy stuff. Like Odell has shown that if he weren't injured, he's a great player. Odell has won a Super Bowl, so nobody can say he's not a winner. That's all outside stuff. What others think. What about OBJ? If he truly loves football, then I don't see him wanting to retire at 29 years old. If he wants to maximize his ability, then I don't see him wanting to retire at 29 years old. And if I were in his shoes, I would be thinking, I have not done what I came to do yet. I have Hall of Fame potential. I want to be a Hall of Famer. I'm just getting my career back on track. This is the first year that I felt like the OBJ from my first 3 years with the New York Giants. I am back, baby, and I want to maximize potential. Like, I don't just play, and I think players are smart when they say, I don't play for legacy. Like, we talk about Kevin Durant and how he says he just plays for the love of the game. He just wants to get better every day, and we kind of mock that. Oh, it's all about rings. It's all about being in the top 15 all time, whatever. But no, for some of these guys, it is I love football. I love basketball, and I want to play it as long as I can at the highest level that I can reach. So I think for OBJ, no, assuming he still wants to play and assuming he loves the game, don't retire. He could still go on and have a Hall of Fame career. He may just want to play. And Nick, you said Tom Brady was too young to retire at 44. OBJ is 29. So I think he should play. Yeah, I assume he wants to still play. So that's why I think he should.
Well, just real quick, Wilds. Listen, it is 2 ACLs and a broken leg are big deals. So to me, this is not the Brady circumstance at all. I know he's 29, but by the time he rehabs the ACL, he's 30. And it's a totally different position than quarterback. And lastly, as far as Hall of Fame chances, I understand that Wild's Brews Hall of Fame, it's like a club nobody wants to go to. There's no bouncer, there's no rope. Everyone can just walk in. But Odell's Hall of Fame chances are shot. Brew wants to put everyone in the Hall of Fame.
Why?
Matt Stafford can go to the Hall of Fame.
Why are they shot?
I assume Cooper Kupp's already in the Hall of Fame. Because guys like Andre Johnson and Torrey Holt are having trouble getting in. And Odell, what does he have? At best, if he rehabs perfectly, he has at best 3, maybe 4 peak years left. I just don't think he's going to have the numbers. So I don't think he's going to. There aren't wide receivers that are highly productive into their mid to late 30s. That's just not a position where that happens. Certainly not guys that have had these injuries. I don't know. I think he has to take a long, hard look at it. Do I want to miss a year, come back, likely be on another new team, deal with all of that? I don't know. And be playing for not a lot of money. I don't think there's a big payday awaiting Odell Beckham Jr. after this last injury.
What if he loves playing football? What if he wants to be the best receiver he can be? I mean, there is that love of the game, right? Is it just let me get my money? Let me
Grant
leave
Hill
a good
loved
legacy?
Basketball. Well, Grant Hill loved
and Grant
basketball.
Hill played until his late 30s. He came back. Okay. He came back from a harrowing injury because he wanted to keep playing.
Yeah, so maybe Grant Hill's the bad example. That's a fair point because he did play well after the injury. But I guess I wouldn't look at it, Wildes, as someone that doesn't love the game. I would look at it as a guy who's like, listen, football's a brutal sport. I've suffered some bad luck. I've suffered some really bad luck on some injuries that there was nothing I could do about. You can't train for it. It's just been bad luck. And the idea that he's now, if he comes back, he's done getting injured, I don't think that's likely the case either, Wildes.
Jeez. Yeah, I mean, to me, when you first said it, the feeling I had was just sadness. Like, I couldn't imagine the league without Odell. It's not like he's been playing for 40 years. It's not like Tom Brady-esque. But I do feel like I associate the league itself with Odell. And I thought back to when you talked about going into media, I thought about the round table with Cam and Victor Cruz and Odell. Remember that with when Cam was first going to go to the Patriots? And I remember Victor Cruz, he does a great job really being the host of that interview. But a part of me also missed Victor Cruz. I think Victor Cruz was such an electric player who I feel like his career ended short. So I don't know. Wouldn't you feel sad, Nick? I know you said it came from a place of love and respect and admiration, but wouldn't you just feel sad if he had a press conference and said, you know what, this knee injury is it. I've got my Super Bowl ring. I'm looking forward to the next challenge in my life. I'd feel sad.
I would be sad, not as sad as seeing Odell Beckham Jr. in 2022 playing for the Atlanta Falcons as a guy that now is a 4.5 40 guy. And, has 40 catches for 480 yards for a mediocre team, Jenna. To me,
I agree.
That injury, it's just a cruel thing. And last point, Jenna, it's not, I understand he wasn't there for the end of the Super Bowl, but I think everyone agrees they don't win that Super Bowl without him. Not only his production leading up to it, but the actual, in the game, he is the guy that blew the game open, or I shouldn't say blew the game open, opened the scoring for them. He was critical to them early on the opening 2 drives. So I just feel like it's not like that ring is I wasn't there for it. He owns that ring as much as anybody. I don't know. I don't think there's great options for him.
It wasn't the way he wanted to end it, but you could say he went out on top for the most part. And if that's the choice he has, that or what you described, I guess that would be the better way to go. But again, all speculation. Wait and see what happens. It was 11 months the last time he was out. When he tore his ACL, so he's got a long road ahead of him. Let's stick with the Rams now. They may be Super Bowl champs, but that doesn't automatically put them atop Nick's offseason tiers. That's next. This is going to be fun. First things first. All right, here we go. While the Rams will spend their offseason as Super Bowl champs, our guy Nick, deep in the trenches last night of his beautiful brownstone apartment in Harlem, working hard with his committee to put together some way too early NFL tiers. Nick, you got 204 days left until kickoff. What do you got for us?
It's true. The tiers are fluid. There's going to be free agency. There's going to be trades. There might be unretirements. All that could change, but we do our best to get you going, and here's what we know. We know these 10 teams, they don't really matter that much. With one exception, so reveal. Feisty Jags? Super Bowl champion coach, Doug Peterson? My thick-necked son, Trevor Lawrence? Maybe the Jags moving up. All right, now the tiers that are named. I guess. These teams, it's like, hey, it's Saturday in the spring. What do you want to do? You want to go to the botanical garden? I guess. Fine. It's not awful, but it's not going to be fun. That's what these 6 teams are. That's fine. I guess. All right. Shots fired. I'm a member there. I pay them $70 a year to not go. All right, next. That's my own fault. Next tier, please. Change coming. The Bucs don't have a quarterback. The Seahawks quarterback is just hanging out with Roger Goodell every Super Bowl instead of playing it. The Packers quarterback, instead of playing in Super Bowls, wearing the most ridiculous suit ever worn on television since zoot suits were popular. And the Browns quarterback is showing up to shoot progressive commercials, and they're like, yeah, buddy, we're actually going to pare down our marketing budget this year. He's not sure. He's like, hey, co-star's in there. They're like, yeah, well, we know he's staying in Cleveland. So we don't know about the quarterback situations for these 4 teams. Next tier, coaching question. Oh, that's right. Super Bowl appearance does not get you off the coaching carousel, my friend. Zach Taylor, guess what? America knew that the Rams' pass rush was going to be a problem. You evidently didn't. Maybe scheme it up a little better. Offensive genius Zach Taylor, maybe on your 3 biggest plays of the season, 2nd and 1 with Super Bowl on the line, call a bomb downfield, 3rd and 1, give the ball to your, 34th best player on your roster, Samaje Perine, and 4th and 1 going shotgun. The hell are you doing? We know McCarthy's a problem. Sorry, Greg. We know Kingsbury's a problem. Also, sorry, Greg. Now, Brandon Staley, not a problem. Here's my concern. Bullying, America. I'm concerned Brandon Staley is going to be bullied by Chris Broussard and his ilk into stopping doing what makes him great, the 4th down aggressiveness. I think there's going to be massive pressure after the way they lost the game against the Raiders in Week 18, that all of a sudden you guys are going to try to turn Brandon Staley into a run-of-the-mill generic coach. I don't like that at all. Plus, there's going to be retroactive credit taken away from Brandon Staley and the Rams defense because Raheem Morris took that same Rams defense. They won the Super Bowl. I already see it coming. I don't like any of it.
Yes.
Quarterback
absolutely.
question. It's all going to happen. I see it all happening, and I don't like quarterback question. Titans, you really going to bring back Ryan Tannehill? Threw 3 picks. Colts, you really going to bring back Carson Wentz? You lost to the Jags season on line. Steelers, you're really going to start the year with Mason Rudolph? So why? I love the rosters of all these teams. I love the coaches on all these teams. Why is Lamar and the Ravens on here? Lamar's injuries and his regression passing the ball last year concerns me. If Lamar gets back to, improves upon the player he was after year 3, the Ravens will be excellent. If these other 3 teams get legitimate quarterbacks, they'll be excellent. Truly terrifying. The 2 best teams in the NFC over the last 4 years, the Rams and the Niners. I know the Rams might lose some people. They're not losing Ramsey. They're not losing Donald. They're not losing Kupp. They're not losing Stafford. So they're going to be fine. And the Niners just made a Super Bowl 3 years ago and came 5 minutes away from making another one with the 19th best quarterback in football. I think Trey Lance will be better than that. I think the Niners are the favorites. Right now, 2 early favorites out of the NFC. Number 1 contenders, Buffalo Bills. Now, I do think the Buffalo Bills have some mental anguish to deal with because I think they watched that Super Bowl and they said, you got to be kidding me. We'd have waxed both of these teams. Like, how are we not in this game? I do think they'll miss Brian Daboll. However, I told you I am retiring the Josh Allen slander. However, much like Tom Brady, I reserve the right to unretire it at any moment. So keep that in mind. And then, of course, the favorites, the Kansas City Chiefs. Oh, Nick, what do the Chiefs have to do to not be the favorites? Here's what they have to do to not be the favorites. They have to not be the literal favorites in every betting establishment in America. Fox Bet, everywhere, onshore, offshore, Vegas, Atlantic City, Canada, Dubai, the Chiefs are the favorites. Is every bookmaker from Kansas City? No, they're not. They're just truth tellers. They're dripping in objectivity, much like yours truly. I don't need to defend myself any further. Greg Jennings, tell me how great these are.
Well, I'm not going to tell you how great they are. I'm going to tell you I wouldn't have them the way that you have them. Let's just say that. It's early, though. It's early, though, so you were excited. You were a little flustered about your Kansas City beloved Chiefs not being in the Super Bowl, so you automatically were going to throw them on top. Understand it, but for me, it's about the Ravens. You talk about quarterback questions, and I know a lot of the heat goes on Lamar Jackson. 12 games this year, injuries. His passing did take a step back. However, he did miss a lot. And when you think about what they're doing, how they're constructed, they get rid of Wink Martindale defensively. They missed a lot of players on the defensive side, but they're going to change what they're going to do there. But they're not going to get rid of Greg Roman. They're locked in on Lamar Jackson and what he provides and the guys that they're putting around him. I believe they continue to build around Lamar Jackson, give him a little bit more support in that passing game. Rashad Bateman, he missed early in the season. He started to come along as a rookie. He'll get better. He'll mature. But Lamar Jackson, it is all about him. When we think about the teams that make deep runs outside of the San Francisco 49ers, it was the quarterback play that drove those teams. And so for this team to get over that hump, they were bad. their last losing season, 2015, 8-9 this year, a lot of it had to do with the lack of performance at a high, consistent level for Lamar Jackson. If he can get back to MVP caliber 2019 Lamar Jackson, they have no problem getting back into the postseason and making some noise.
I think we agree on in large part. And the Ravens also, it wasn't just Lamar's injury. They lost all their running backs before the season even started. They seemingly lost all their secondary by the midway point of the season. I think they were the unluckiest team in the league, aside from maybe Tennessee, injury-wise, and they weren't able to overcome it. I think they have a big bounce-back year. It's one of the many reasons I'm not so high on the Bengals this upcoming season, Broussard, is just because I don't think they're the best team in their own division. I think a healthy Ravens team is better than them. I think they started 8-3 and then just collapsed at the end. There was a moment in the year where they were the 1 seed or tied for the 1 seed late in the season in the AFC, and then the injuries were just too much. So I agree with a lot of what Greg said. Go ahead, Brew. Tell me. Come on. You've had an hour to think about it. You know how good these are.
Yeah, well, look, you're lucky that we're short on time. I'm not going to go over every single error that you made. I'm going to focus on the 49ers. Truly terrifying. Now, look, I love George Kittle. I love Deebo Samuel, Nick Bosa, hey, Brandon Ayuk, I even love it. They got a nice squad. But how in the world can they not be down a notch into the quarterback question? I mean, we have no idea what Trey Lance is. We really don't, Nick. You got to be honest. What we saw, okay, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions in his 2 starts, 57% completion percentage. He started 3 games in the last 2-3 years, one of them at the Division I AA level. And we know he is replacing not a great quarterback. All right, I'm not going to go there. But one of the winningest quarterbacks the league has ever seen. Jimmy G, look at that list. There's only 8 of them who win 70%. Nick, I don't make the facts. I don't bring feelings to a fact fight. This is a fact. Jimmy G won. Now, he might not be the guy that win the Super Bowl for you because he's a little limited, but the intangibles are on fleek, like the young people used to say. I don't know if they still say it. The intangibles, he's got intangibles galore. They love him. He's a winner. You can't tell me they may not miss that. The 49ers should be down in the quarterback question and move the Packers up because I still think they're going to be pretty good with Aaron Rodgers.
Okay. First of all, nothing says I'm an old guy without saying I'm an old guy than saying something young people say that young people haven't said in 12 years. Young people haven't called anything on fleek since your daughters were in junior high, but like it's still in your brain somewhere. So put that in a drawer, lock it, and throw away the key. That's first point. Second point, here's why they are not on the quarterback question tier. Those teams on the quarterback question tier showed you this year they can't overcome awful quarterback play. Awful quarterback play is what ruined all 4 of those teams' end of season. Lamar got hurt. Ryan Tannehill threw the 3 picks. Carson Wentz lost to the Jags throwing picks. And Big Ben imploded against the Chiefs and really all end of season. The Niners have proven they can overcome mediocre quarterback play. It's all they've ever had under Shanahan, and they made a Super Bowl and almost made another one. So I don't think, so that's why they're truly terrifying, because they don't, unlike the other teams, they don't need great quarterback play to beat you. Wilds, go ahead, my friend.
Yes? Okay, here's my impression. See this right here? This is not only me checking my own pulse. This is what I do when I check the pulse of the NFL. And the NFL trend is have a good defense and bring in a new quarterback. So the team I want to check is the Denver Broncos. Denver Broncos, ooh, are you just like the Jameis Winston Bucks? Sure seems like it. Jameis Winston's Bucks, remember. Number 1 rushing defense 2019, but Jameis threw 30 interceptions. Switch Jameis out, bring in the GOAT, all of a sudden get yourself a Super Bowl ring. How about the Goff Rams? Right there on the pulse. Ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. The Rams defense, number 1 scoring in total defense 2020, but Jared Goff, too many turnovers, so what happened? Take out Goff, bring in Stafford, win the Super Bowl ring. And now, right there, put your fingers right on the pulse of it. The Bridgewater and Drew Lock Broncos. The Broncos, the only team in the last 2 years to score and allow less than 20 points. If Aaron Rodgers decides to reunite with his old offensive coordinator, Russell Wilson, Kyler, who I'm advocating to ship out of Arizona, Denver Broncos, we could be headed to the Super Bowl. Move the Broncos up on potential alone, Nick. Wow.
Yeah, so by the way, the bookmakers agree with you. The bookmakers have the Broncos with like the 9th or 10th best Super Bowl odds because they think they're going to get one of these quarterbacks. I do not. Listen, Aaron Rodgers, as evidenced by the suit he wore to NFL honors, does make some truly head-scratching decisions. But even I think Aaron Rodgers knows better than to join Patrick Mahomes' division. I don't think Russell Wilson's signing up for that either. So I think Aaron Rodgers, if he does leave Green Bay, is going to steer clear of the division of the best quarterback in football. So I don't think they're getting Rodgers, and I also don't think the defense will be as good under Nathaniel Hackett as it was under Vic Fangio. The Broncos don't scare. The Broncos, you're going to have to show it to me for me to actually take the Broncos seriously. So, Jen, I think the Broncos they're just fine. And by the way, applause to Wilds for accepting the Patriots as I guess team. Not even a single complaint about it. Well done.
He didn't want to, we ran out of time. Nick's way too early NFL tiers, everyone. And if you like that, you'll love this. Tomorrow, Broussard will be dropping his under duress list, and it'll be on fleek. So players around the NFL don't have to I said it right.
They still say that.
Season
Nick.
wondering they will land.
They still say that.
That is tomorrow. I haven't even started saying it yet, so I'm 12 years behind, and I can't wait. First things first. Time now for Nick to hand out some medals. Nikola Jokic putting up 26, 15, and 7 in a win last night, but it came against Wild's Magic, so no chance performance.
Yeah.
That performance is making the podium. Who you got, Nick?
Hey.
Yeah, and also the 26 points took 26 shots, so that's not going to get you on the podium. But here, who is on the podium? All of a sudden, semi-podium mainstay, Anthony Simons.
I like
Nick's tears. That's cool too. Anthony Simons. Now Giannis wasn't playing, but still, look at him. Who needs CJ McCollum? CJ enjoying beignets. Anthony Simons enjoying 16 3-point attempts. Good job, Anthony. Silver medal. Come on down. Show me the silver medalist, please. More Nick's tears. Donovan Mitchell. More Nick's tears. I love it.
Where did tears come from?
Donovan Mitchell. 36 and 7 and a win over the Rockets. And then a gold medal, and I'm guessing more Nick's tears for DeMar DeRozan. Come on, what an upset. DeMar DeRozan is 4th time on the medal stand in 9 days, and this is just a fact. What does Broussard say? Don't bring feelings to a fact fight. DeMar DeRozan, the first Chicago Bull ever with 6 straight 35-point games on at least 50% shooting. I'm just saying, how long until we start discussing DeMar DeRozan's the best shooting guard in Bulls history? What more does the man need to do?
A long time.
There's the medal stand from last night in the NBA. And now Nick's tears.
Unbelievable.
Is it?
I would imagine Derrick Rose might have something to say about that. All right, we got to move on. Talk some Ben Simmons. Simmons may look good in his new Nets attire, but will that translate to wins in Brooklyn? We discuss that next. First things first. First things first. Check out the newest Brooklyn Net, Ben Simmons, joining his teammates for his first shoot-around, where it's being reported he shot around. No timetable yet set for his return, but at least he's back in the gym. What does Bob call it? Baby steps. So, Brew, you see this working out for Ben Simmons and for Brooklyn?
No, not this year. And I bring that's important, this year. Because before the season began, the Nets were thinking championship. Heck, when they brought Harden in to team with Kyrie and Kevin Durant, they were thinking championship. When they sent Kyrie away because of his anti-vax status, they were thinking championship. When they brought him back, championship. They ain't winning a championship this year. We don't even know if Ben Simmons is going to play. I assume he will in a few weeks, but let's see. So now, this year, they have gone from championship or bust and having a legitimate shot to do it to, yeah, they'll be pretty good. They'll be in the playoffs, and, Kyrie won't be there half the time, and that'll leave you with just one big-time scorer, Kevin Durant. So this year, no, it's not going to work, Wilds. In the future, I do like it theoretically. And Nick's pointed this out, like, theoretically, you got a shooter in Seth Curry. You got a great defender, a guy with court vision in Ben Simmons, who can play in the dunker spot, not going to get in the way of KD and Kyrie. Theoretically, it's all good. But this team doesn't have a leader on the court. KD hasn't shown that he can lead a team to a championship. Kyrie's certainly not a great leader. I think he's the strongest personality. And Ben Simmons' basketball career has largely been defined by underachievement, whether it was LSU as far as their team success or the Sixers as far as their team success with him. So while on paper I like it for the future next year, but I still have questions even then.
Okay, so I'm all in on Ben Simmons. I think those are all fair points. Obviously, Kyrie only playing 8 more games for the rest of the regular season for the Nets is an issue. I hope that Steve Nash has grown and added another arrow to his coaching quiver that he can fire like, oh, you know what? I've learned to be a better leader after this Harden debacle. And I hope KD added a little leadership too, because I think Ben Simmons needs support to reach his potential. But there's one other thing that I don't think we realized how bad the chemistry was in the locker room, Nick, and I'm going to play this clip for you from Bruce Brown. But here's why I always have my ear radar, audio radar, always attuned to the compliment insult. You're like, Wilds, your hair looks good today. I'm like, huh? What do you mean by that? It's a compliment, but you're actually insulting me. So let's listen to Bruce Brown deliver a compliment insult to the Brooklyn's locker room.
The locker room it's a great vibe in there right now. I don't know what it is. Everything just shifted after the trade deadline. So just everybody likes everybody. So it's just great.
It's one day. It's basically a blind day. Everyone likes everybody. Granted, we got 3 new guys that have never been here, but we all like each other. To me, that was more of an indictment on the underachieving chemistry that they had. Yeah. So that's a reason for me to be optimistic, Nick.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And Wilds, I've got to say, you've made a bunch of great points today. You've really been cogent today, and I think that you've really made some sense, and you've been the star of the show today. Here's the thing: the Nets were screwed before this. Now they're not. I know Brew keeps living in this fantasy land where the Nets' big 3 was a thing, and where they could have won the title this year, and they could win the title when they sent Kyrie home, and they could win the title when they brought him back. No, they couldn't. Now they have a roster that actually makes sense. You've got a shooter that can shoot in Seth Curry, as opposed to a shooter who can only shoot some of the time in Joe Harris. You have a guy who can credibly defend the best players in the league in Ben Simmons. Nobody can stop Giannis, obviously. But now at least, can you hold him to 38 instead of 48? Maybe. That might be enough. And who's going to have the ball at the end of the game? Kevin Durant. Oh, you don't have enough scoring. I was told Kevin Durant is the best scorer ever. I have to listen to this all the time. Kevin Durant might be the best pure scorer ever, or non-Jordan categories, because Jordan's the best everything ever and actually the tallest player in league history, if you listen to the right people about it. But, so, you know what? Scoring shouldn't be a problem. So now they actually, to me, Brew, their championship chances for this year went up. And folks, I'm not saying you should listen to me on the Nets. All I'm saying is I'm the only person who's been right about them for 3 seasons. Every year. Just me. So maybe I know what I'm talking about. They are a better team now than the idea that they were previously. And I think Ben Simmons, I know everyone's like, oh, New York's not an easy environment. Brooklyn is. They don't have real fans.
That's right.
There's no pressure. It's all on KD. Like, I actually think I think Ben's going to be back after the All-Star break. I think they're going to be way better. I don't think they have to have Kyrie. Now, yes, I really. They were not good.
They
were
don't have
underdogs
to have Kyrie
last night
to win
the
a championship.
Not if Kevin Durant's the guy everyone tells me he is. I still believe in Milwaukee. I think the Nets are better. I think the Nets are better than they were.
Undisputed starts right now. We'll see you tomorrow.
13-3.